So in previous videos, we saw what is solid principle and what are the five principles that combine to create the solid principle. So these were the five principles. First one was single responsibility principle. Second is open close principle. Third is Liskov substitution principle. Fourth is interface segregation principle, and fifth is dependency inversion principle. So these are the five principles we have to look, right? And then what we have to discuss is we discuss what is tight coupling, what is loose coupling, right? To get started with. Now we are going to discuss the first principle that comes under the solid principle, that is single responsibility principle. Now, what does this single responsibility principle means? So it says that a class should have only one reason to change, meaning it should have only one responsibility. Second, it promotes the idea that a class or module should be responsible for a single functionality or aspect of the system. What does it mean? So let's take an example of an email sending system. So what does it happen? When you send an email, what do? You compose an email and you send it, right? So basically they are two responsible for an email sender class. One is to compose an email, that is you write an email in a particular format, add a recipient there, add a subject there, add a body there, right? And then you send that email to a particular recipient, right? But there are two responsibilities here. One is compose email and second is send email, right? What if someday we change the like format for the composing the email, right? So then you have to edit the email sender class entirely, right? Because just changing the functionality of a single function, you will be changing the entire class, right? But this will violate the single responsibility principle. So what if we modify this to a two different classes? If you see here, so what we did is we created two classes here. One is email composer, second is email sender. So each class has a single responsibility. Now compose email will return a new email object that will contain recipient, subject and body. So if we modify also the any format for this composing email, it won't affect this email sender, right? This class won't be affected. Or if we I didn't like modify this send email format, like let's say we I did change this email, whatever the email it is here, if we change this format, so it won't affect the composer email class, right? So there are two different functionalities and we've separated it in a two different class. So this won't affect each other, right? So this is what a single responsibility principle says. So most of the time it happens that when programmers have to add features or new behavior, they implement everything into existing class, which is completely wrong, as I said, right? So we don't have to implement everything into a single class. It makes their code lengthy, complex, and consume times when later something needs to be modified. So if we keep adding into the same class, let's say in future we have to add some another function. Let's say we have to add some grammar check function, right? That will compose email and then check the grammar for it. So what it will do is it will like this will be a lengthy code and we have to modify the same class multiple times. Okay, so that is not good thing when you're creating a production level application. So it's better to use layers in your application and break a big class into small classes or modules. So that is the important thing when you are working on a production level, or let's say on organization level application. So this was the first principle that we saw today.